Hi everyone. This video is going to be about the written test experience of MTech AI at IISc Bangalore. So I basically appeared for this written test this year only, and I applied through the GATE DA score. And since I was in general category, I was like able to just clear the cutoff. Like my score wasn't too far from the cutoff. It was like I think 20 plus something than the cutoff. So yeah, like that was my score, and that's how I was eligible to give the test from the general category. And regarding the test, it was scheduled on 15th April 2025, and it was Tuesday, and it was supposed to be given at IISc Bangalore off in the offline mode only. So basically, they called something around, I think, like 400 or 450 students. I guess in total there were around 400 students there, because AI department allows students from CS, DA, EC, and EE, basically electrical engineering paper as well. So in total something like 400 students were there, I guess. And we had different sets of the written test paper as well. So like it was supposed to start from 9 a.m., and they ask you to report something around like 1 hour before the test begins. And it's actually required that you should do that, because when you are coming to the campus for the very first time now, it's like, especially for the AI department, because there is no explicit AI department. They basically hold the test in the electrical engineering department. So you will have to find the department, and sometimes the guard people, they don't know the exact position of it, and they might just uh, tell you wrong location by mistake or something. Like this happened for me. They told me to take a turn, and then when I reached there I could not find. So eventually I think the Google map location was correct for the electrical engineering department, and I followed that location in order to reach there. So it will take something around like at least half an hour to reach there. So make sure that you try to reach at the campus 1 hour before the exam, so that you have sufficient time. And even once you reach the electrical engineering department, you have to form a queue and get your room number details. And in the room also, you are supposed to switch off your phone and then sit and, like, things like that. So there are some formalities as well, although, yeah, so it's better that you reach 1 hour before the exam begins. And then coming to the question paper, it was like we had different sets, and the questions, I would say, were decent only. I was able to attempt, or maybe like correctly solve 27 out of 30 questions. Because but like I knew the concepts for those 27 questions for sure. If there would have been any calculation mistake by chance, then I'm not sure if it will be right or not, because there was no MCQ. It was supposed to be like you have to solve for the expression, or like you have to provide the answer in a numerical format, or in some cases also in terms of x. Like I remember there was an expectation question where we were supposed to leave the answer in terms of x. That was the number of trials or something like that. So yeah, like that is the thing. So at least for the 27 questions I knew the concept, and I was sure that okay, I know them. And there were two questions from probability and statistics, and one from a linear algebra that I was not very sure of. And rest were fine. Like I would say, they were not very tough, they were decent. If you are good with the problem solving, or not even good, if you have just done the gate DA part now, maths, then it will be sufficient, to be very honest. Because yeah, like they were good enough problems. And regarding the problems, there were like different questions, um, like there was some sort of a, like, the expectation questions, as I mentioned, like they would just complicate it a little bit, and then you're supposed to find the expected number of trials or something like that. And the probability based questions and linear algebra was basic only, except for the one question, I think. Like, it was mostly around the eigenvalues, eigenvectors. No SVD was asked as far as I remember. And in the calculus there was one question from directional derivatives, where we are supposed to find the gradient of function. Other than that, there was no other question from directional derivative. And luckily I covered directional derivative just one day before. Like, I covered it back in my college time, because we have a vector calculus back then, but that was like in my first year, and that is like too long, almost like 6 to 7 years back I did my first year. So yeah, I couldn't recall it completely, so I just did a quick, like, concept revision of how do we calculate the gradient and other related stuff, and curl of the gradient and something like that, things like that were there. So I just quickly revised it, but only they asked only a very easy question on that. It was like a completely formula based question. You don't even have to use your brain or visualize anything for that. So it was that easy. Calculus was very easy, like I was able to do all the 10 questions. But yeah, I would say probability was tricky, or maybe it's just that I am personally not very good with the probability part. So maybe it's that, and maybe the other people might have done. But from what I have asked to the people, like there were many, most of the people did something around 23 to 25 questions around in that test paper. So when I heard this previously, I was thinking that people might have done all the 30 questions. But when I heard this, I was a little relieved that okay, like my test isn't that bad, maybe, because I did some 25 plus questions, and like with a concept surety that I know what am I doing here. It's not like a guesswork or anything like that. So yeah, and mostly people I think did like in the range of 20 to 25. So you can expect that it was a decent level of paper, not very easy, not very tough. It was good. And yeah, so that was all about the experience of the written test. And yeah, the questions are basic only, so like kind of similar, you can see, to the sample questions that they provide on the website. So I think you can also refer to it in case you want to know. And other than that, to prepare for it, I only did like my revision for the gate ds syllabus, and since I was already very thorough with it, like especially the math part of it, mostly not with the problem statistics part, but linear algebra and calculus were very okay for me, very good for me. So I also did this Gilbert Strang's course on linear algebra again, like not again, I was covering it for the first time. It provides a good intuition, so if you want more clarity on linear algebra part, I think you should really do that. So that's how I prepared. And for calculus, I don't think so I did anything else other than the directional derivatives. Of course, you should revise your gate DA notes before the exams, and that's what I did like one day before the exams, like revising all the topics and covering if there are some subtopics which I have left. I also covered improper integrals to some extent, but there was no questions asked from the improper integral, at least in my set of paper. So yeah, it was like that only. Hope you like it, and if you find it useful, please give a thumbs up. Thank you. Bye.